Good evening, I'm Ian Hannamansing. Tonight, painful details coming out of a Quebec care home struck by coronavirus.
I'm really sorry to all the families that lost family members there. This should never have happened. Never. It's gross. It's disgusting.
Families are desperate for answers after reports of illness, apparent neglect, and death.
We are able to contribute 750,000 N95 masks.
While most provinces fear shortages of masks, gloves, and ventilators, Alberta has plenty. So what is that province doing differently? How many asymptomatic infected people are out there? Our doctors will answer that question and more. Plus, from helping out with childcare to groceries, Canadians are showing their true colors.
And if I can get out just to support someone a little bit, it's something that I feel is really important to do.
This is The National. The care and commitment of Canadians to public health efforts and each other are making a difference in the fight against COVID-19. We'll hear about some of that success tonight. But the disease has also exposed flaws in systems and institutions. Concern about this long-term care home in a Montreal suburb has been growing for days. Reports of horrifying conditions and residents dying in numbers far beyond an earlier tally of 2. Then this weekend, Quebec officials say they learned more.
The owner of this residence refused to give us access to the file of the patients, and it's only last night at 8 p.m. that we learned that the number of deaths since March 13 was 31.
The Premier said it appeared to be a case of, quote, major negligence. What happened at the Heron Seniors residence is under police investigation. Jayla Bernstein brings us the harrowing stories from inside.
Investigators spent the night at this seniors' home, gathering surveillance footage, photos, and documents. Out on the front lawn, some have left flowers to show their support.
I'm really sorry to all the families that lost family members there. This should never have happened. Never. It's gross. It's disgusting.
This social worker came to volunteer and described what she saw.
J'ai vu un monsieur mort dans son lit.
I saw a man dead in his bed, she says. I brought him breakfast and saw that he was dead. Written in French on the sidewalk in front of the residence are the words "Ça va bien aller" in French, meaning it'll be okay. But those who have family members inside the residence say things have not been okay and they want answers. They want to know what happened to their loved ones.
On Monday, I called all morning. I was working from home. My sister is off work. She was calling, texting me, I can't get anybody. And then we just started, hearing bad things. And a lot of people were going through the same thing, experiencing the same difficulties we were.
He says the next time he heard from the residents, he learned his father had passed away. Authorities say of the 31 people who have died here, at least 5 were linked to COVID-19. After learning of staffing shortages, the regional public health agency intervened, taking over. Nurses said they found some people who'd been left sitting in their dirty diapers and soiled beds for days. This Montreal police spokesperson says their investigation could take weeks or months.
We are aware that people are waiting for answers. We're working as quickly as we can, but however, we must not skip anything. So we have to be very thorough, so we'll have to take whatever time it takes.
The residence is run by Catassa Group. In a statement, the company offered its condolences and essentially blamed the situation on the public health agency, saying, "Since the beginning of this crisis, the employees of CHSLD Heron have made extraordinary efforts, but their demands for help have not been heard by the CIUS Ouest de l'Île." The public health agency responded that it is working to ensure the safety and well-being of the residents and that the facility's owners did not cooperate fully when it intervened to offer its support. Jayla Bernstein, CBC News, Dorval, Quebec.
And we're hearing tonight of another devastating outbreak at a seniors' home, this one in Ontario. The Chartwell Gibson long-term care home in Toronto confirmed 5 of its residents are dead after being diagnosed with COVID-19. 22 other residents have tested positive, along with 1 staff member. The home says it's remaining vigilant in trying to control the outbreak, including screening employees. As a result of these outbreaks, Ottawa has issued new guidelines for long-term care facilities. But But advocates argue COVID-19 is just exposing cracks in a system that have been overlooked for years. Ashley Burke explains.
These are incredibly horrific reports that we've all been seeing, really heart-wrenching situations.
Canadian officials say people living and working in long-term care homes deserve better.
The provinces are all very seized with this issue, and it's both from a guidance and infection control perspective, but also a support from employment perspective as well.
These facilities are provincially regulated. The federal government has brought in new guidelines to prevent the further spread of COVID-19. They include restricting volunteers and visitors, staff wearing masks, and limiting workers to one facility. But the pandemic is exposing bigger problems.
Unfortunately, we have a system that across the country has been grossly underfunded, and a system that doesn't even give its own workers, for example, full-time wages and benefits.
Many of them have to work in multiple work sites in order to make a full-time living.
This union president represents 120,000 frontline healthcare workers across Canada. She says many personal support workers only make $20,000 to $30,000 a year.
We're seeing levels of care or numbers of personal support workers, 1 to every 42 residents inside a nursing home. And that is absolutely impossible to take care of.
Canada's Chief Medical Officer of Health said that better protection and care for both staff and residents of long-term care homes could become one of the legacies of this pandemic. Already some provinces, including BC, have banned people from working at more than one facility at a time, all in an effort to stop the spread of the virus. Ashley Burke, CBC News, Ottawa.
There are also fears about what's going on inside Canada's jails and prisons. A lockdown is in place at Mission Institution in BC's Fraser Valley. As Boris Stewart explains, it's where at least 35 inmates and 5 guards have tested positive for COVID-19.
I worry about him.
Tracy Norman's brother, Dean Roberts, has been in the Mission Institution for more than 25 years. On Wednesday, she was told he tested positive for COVID-19 and was taken to the hospital. Since then, she hasn't been able to find out anything about his condition.
It's so frustrating. And you know, people say, well, he's an inmate. He doesn't have any privileges or whatever. But you know what? I'm not an inmate, and he's my brother, and I want to know how he's doing.
There are large outbreaks of COVID-19 at correctional facilities in Ontario and in Quebec, but Mission BC has the highest number of cases among inmates. Federal officials say they've stepped up cleaning and health checkups. Inmates are also having meals in their cells. Officials are also considering releasing some of the offenders.
We are focused on those individuals that are low risk, that are medically compromised, and are vulnerable. And we are working through that process right now to identify those that would be appropriate for release.
Kathleen Hill's 30-year-old son was recently transferred to the medium security facility in Mission. She hasn't heard from him and says she's up all night worrying.
Not sleeping, of course not sleeping. Wondering, of course I'm going to be wondering if he's sick.
Federal officials say they can't hand out any health information due to privacy laws, adding the inmates are still allowed to make a phone call every day. But advocates say it's been very difficult to get information about the conditions inside the facility.
Whether or not people care about prisoners' human rights and safety, if COVID-19 spreads through the prisons, staff are going in and out of the prisons, and it's going to infect people in the community.
Because the outbreak spreading in the institution could certainly move beyond the prison walls. Briar Stewart, CBC News, Vancouver.
Canada now has more than 24,000 confirmed cases, and COVID-19 has been linked to 764 deaths in the country. But the picture is far from hopeless. For more than a week now, the rate of new cases in Canada has been relatively flat. That is still up to 1,600 new confirmed infections a day, and that rate could accelerate again at any time. Ontario and Quebec have the majority of Canada's cases. The third largest outbreak is in Alberta. But as Carolyn Dunn shows us, she shows us how that province leads the country, even the world, in COVID-19 preparedness.
While several Canadian provinces are running out of life-saving medical equipment, Alberta has plenty. and it's sharing.
I, for one, will not sit here with 9 massive warehouses of equipment that is full if we see a few days from now our fellow Canadians overwhelmed potentially in their healthcare system because of a shortage of supplies.
To Ontario, 250,000 N95 ventilator masks, 2.5 million surgical masks, 15 million gloves, tens of thousands of goggles, and 50 coveted ventilators. To Quebec, 250,000 masks, 2 million surgical masks, and 15 million gloves. And to BC, 250,000 masks. This man, Jitendra Prasad, has become an unlikely hero of the story. He and his procurement team with Alberta Health Services saw the pandemic coming and started gobbling up medical supplies in December. They began using long-held connections to find suppliers in China, even as the virus was taking grip there. Professor Anne Snowden studies health supply chains and has ranked Alberta as a global leader.
Alberta has one of the most highly sophisticated and digitized supply chain infrastructures that I can find in the world.
That means Alberta is even now receiving giant shipments of medical supplies it had the foresight to order before panic struck. And it has pledged to share with other provinces what it doesn't need. Carolyn Dunn, CBC News, Calgary.
Meanwhile, a way of making those crucial N95 masks last a little longer is being explored if it can be safely done. Salima Shivji takes a closer look.
It's a worry in every hospital, with many rationing their supply.
If we burn them out by using them willy-nilly for every patient encountered in the emergency department, then that means we are going to condemn some of our physicians and nurses to imminent risk of harm.
The problem, the N95 medical masks aren't designed to be reused. But with the global scramble for personal protective equipment, hospitals here are now being told to store their used masks to use when brand new sterilization methods catch up to a virus spreading so fast.
It is one of the most important and I think worthwhile lines of pursuit for PPE right now.
This Ottawa hospital started researching ways to sterilize N95 masks last month.
We had a team of people working on this almost around the clock for like 2 weeks, and we were able to basically screen 1,000 possible studies in the course of a day or two.
They're planning to go with special UV lights that kill the virus but don't damage the mask's filters. Research also shows a process using hydrogen peroxide vapors might work, or intense heat, acting like a pressure cooker for masks. The federal government is examining the research, and it's in talks with companies that use gamma irradiation to sterilize single-use medical devices, trying to figure out if it's possible to adapt the technology for N95 masks. But all of this hinges on Health Canada's approval. Quebec isn't waiting. It's already sent advice to its hospitals, telling them to sterilize masks using another method fast-tracked in the U.S. because of COVID-19. Ontario's premier is sounding a little more cautious.
It's backup. We have to have every option possible out there. But right now, we aren't at that point.
Not at that point yet. Health Canada says it's working urgently on this, and it's willing to fast-track approval that would normally take months. Salima Shivji, CBC News, Ottawa.
Anita Bath is following stories across the country for us tonight, starting here in BC, where a man is apologizing for some bizarre conduct.
Ian, he's faced a lot of backlash, and it's all over this video. Take a look. It appears to show him spitting on the buttons in a Vancouver condo elevator. A resident of the building tweeted the footage, accusing him of endangering everyone in the building. Today, the man, who we are not naming, released a statement through his lawyer. He says it happened in a momentary fit of anger because of an ongoing dispute with the condo board. It is difficult to express how horrified I feel, he says, especially given the pandemic. I have no coronavirus symptoms and no health issues. I've been keeping my distance from others as required. All I can do is express how sorry I am that this happened and to assure nothing like this will ever happen again. And turning to the East Coast, 2 new cases of COVID in New Brunswick, with 2 more people hospitalized as well. Nova Scotia reporting 17 new cases today, along with a warning for people in Halifax about a potential exposure at G Street Pizza on April 4th and 6th. Public Health is contacting anyone who may have been in contact with an employee who has tested positive. Finally tonight, a Winnipeg medical team has designed a new mask for healthcare workers. It could help replace the N95 masks provinces have been running out of. The mask is reusable and just as effective as commercially produced N95 masks. Ian?
Thanks, Anita. In the age of COVID-19, a holiday weekend poses some fresh challenges, especially when typically this would include religious services, family gatherings, and spring weather. But as Talia Ricci explains, in some places, police and health officials were ready to reinforce the rules.
Old traditions are thriving in brand new ways.
Historically, pandemics have forced humans to break with the past and imagine their world anew.
Easter Sunday services were attended virtually.
The day of resurrection.
Looking for some Easter eggs.
Chocolate treats were hunted with the help of drones. And baked goods were purchased with physical distancing in mind.
People lined up at stores, spaced out, 6 feet apart, people taking their turn, honoring that.
For those who aren't, officers have been out on horses, bikes, and on foot across the country, reminding the public of the rules.
So what we're going to be doing is moving towards a zero tolerance with some common sense.
Police also say weather plays a role. People tend to break physical distancing rules more when it's warmer outside. In Toronto, 2,500 warnings and more than 50 tickets have been handed out over the last week. In Quebec, hundreds of tickets have been issued. A lot of the problems are in parks, police reminding the public that cutting locks or removing barricades is a criminal offense.
Most of the people have been compliant. However, we see some cases where people don't get it.
But many have adapted to a new normal, even on this first holiday weekend of the pandemic. In Vancouver, parishioners used a drive-through for confessions,
which allows someone to remain in their vehicle, have their confession heard as they tell the priest their sins, and the priest will absolve them, and then they drive away.
As Canadians continue finding creative ways to stay apart at a time when people typically come together.
Happy Easter!
Talia Ricci, CBC News, Toronto.
Donald Trump had hoped life would be back to normal by today. Instead, the United States has hit a dubious milestone in this pandemic, and some people feel his actions or lack of them may have been partly responsible. America already has the most known cases in the world, more than 500,000. Now it's surpassed Italy to rank first in total deaths, nearly 22,000. Paul Hunter with a look at what delayed a prevention strategy.
Unoccupied for the moment, it's the latest giant ad hoc medical center, this one in Houston, waiting and bracing for yet more Americans to become infected. This, as the U.S. has now become the world's leading country for COVID-19 deaths, more here than anywhere else.
We're getting rid of the plague. It's a plague on our country like nobody's ever seen.
And even though in his annual Easter Sunday message, Donald Trump today put on an optimistic face.
We're winning the battle, we're winning the war. We have a lot to be thankful for. Happy Easter, everybody.
It came amid fresh reporting suggesting that in the early days of the virus, Trump bungled the U.S. response to it. Citing dozens of sources in or close to the White House, the New York Times and Washington Post today report Trump was warned forcefully of the threat of coronavirus, but failed to act quickly. Say the reports, at the time he paid more attention to his impeachment trial, his prospects at re-election, and regulations on vaping. Adding, when infections and deaths in America soared, Trump seemed baffled, despite the multiple warnings.
You could have saved lives.
Anthony Fauci, lead scientist in the White House Coronavirus Task Force, was asked today whether earlier guidance from the White House on physical distancing would have saved American lives.
Obviously, if we had right from the very beginning, shut everything down, it may have been a little bit different. But there was a lot of pushback about shutting things down back then.
Meanwhile, there's now increasing talk of a gradual reopening of the U.S. economy, maybe beginning next month. Though, say Trump's medical advisors, that'd depend on how the virus spreads or stalls in the next few weeks. And as well, crucially, how Trump interprets that. Paul Hunter, CBC News, Washington.
British Prime Minister Boris Johnson was released from a London hospital today. He'd been there a week, some of it in ICU, suffering from COVID-19. And in a video message posted on Twitter, he gave a major shout out to the country's National Health Service.
We will win because our NHS is the beating heart of this country. It is the best of this country. It is unconquerable. It is powered by love.
Johnson will continue his recovery at Chequers, the official country residence for Britain's prime ministers. Some welcome news today for Canada's battered energy sector. The OPEC cartel and other oil producers have reached a deal to cut production by about 10%. In a statement, the Minister of Natural Resources, Seamus O'Regan, said, "This is good. We welcome any news that brings stability to global oil markets. Canada is committed to achieving price certainty and economic stability." We've all been talking about the stress and strain on healthcare workers, but we haven't had a chance to see them in action until now. The National got rare access to the ER and ICU at Toronto's Humber River Hospital, bringing a camera inside for a special documentary report airing tomorrow night. Adrian Arsenault shows us the fight against COVID-19 following a healthcare team through a full shift, witnessing their challenges. She finds some good news, but also some extraordinarily tough moments.
He came with a shortness of breath, very COVID fever.
One shift in one hospital.
Does this make you nervous, this moment?
Yeah, it's a very stressful moment. I'd be lying if I said I wasn't nervous.
In the middle of one global crisis.
Where am I at?
Humber River Hospital is among the most prepared on the continent, and still there's fear.
So this ambulance coming in here is carrying a patient who they just announced coded en route. So it's an 81-year-old, and everyone here is ready with their PPE because they just don't know what they're going to face.
I don't know what will gonna happen to me, to us all every day.
Worried for themselves and brokenhearted for patients because COVID is cruel. People are dying with no family near.
We are doing everything that we can for the people that you love, and that it hurts us that you can't be here with them.
Inside the fight against COVID. That's tomorrow on The National.
Criticism is mounting in France after the virus killed more than 14,000 people, many of them in long-term care homes.
The government will have to be accountable for what they've done or not done.
Still ahead, what can we learn from the French example? We put more of your questions to our experts. Next, how many asymptomatic people could be out there? And Chicago's mayor is going out of her way to make sure people get the message.
And rolled down the window and said, "Hey, you're too close."
We're back right after this. Welcome back. It's that time in the program where we put your COVID-19 questions to our panel of doctors. And tonight there are questions that some of you tweeted to me. And providing the answers, Dr. Michael Curry, an emergency room doctor in the Vancouver suburb of Delta. And in Edmonton, Dr. Lenora Saxinger, an infectious disease expert. And Dr. Saxinger, first question to you. Is there a ballpark estimate of the number of asymptomatic people walking around, given only those presenting symptoms are being tested?
This is actually pretty much the million-dollar question right now, and you can find data from various sources that gives numbers anywhere from 5% to 80%. The more reliable data looks like it's probably 10% or less, but it really is an evolution because one big issue is sometimes people don't have symptoms at the point of testing, but then they go on to have symptoms in a short time later. So pre-symptomatic and asymptomatic are not the same thing. And the difference is it tells us how we might do public health control measures and whether screening for symptoms is really as useful as we think. So the story is still not clear, I'll be honest, and I think it's hopefully going to get clearer soon.
More testing. We're all eager to see some data, I know, from more testing. Dr. Curry, next question for you. How do doctors anticipate we return to a new normal? Temperature checks in every workplace until a vaccine is found?
Well, I think it's going to be a phased return to normal, but there's two big variables that are going to have a big impact on how we do that. And the first is antibody testing. That may let us know who's been exposed to it and presumably may be immune to the COVID infection. The other issue is whether a vaccine becomes available. For now, it'll probably be a phased return as case numbers dwindle and we're able to test and identify and isolate cases, but good antibody testing showing immunity or a vaccine would change those plans dramatically.
All right. Dr. Saxinger, if you get sick with COVID and you recover and symptoms resolve, how long after the symptoms go away are you no longer shedding virus?
So this is a super important point, which is the tests that people talk about the most are actually testing a fragment of the virus, the nucleic acid tests, and those are usually the swabs. And those can remain positive for a very long time, and that can sound kind of scary. In the publications where they've actually taken the step of also looking for virus that they can grow in cell culture, the time is much shorter. And so in one particularly good study, it looked like in a moderately sick group of people that the virus could be found over the first week or so. And then over the next 2 weeks, so weeks 2 to 3 of illness, we saw antibody response going up, and we still saw that you could detect that fragment of the virus for a longer time. Mostly we think that people are generally most infectious within the first week of symptoms, and then it probably declines after that.
All right, we have about a half minute left, so let me ask you this question, Dr. Curry. You were working at the Delta Emergency Room just outside Vancouver. What are you seeing these days in terms of COVID-19?
So our numbers are actually down in terms of patients presenting, but with almost every patient coming in, COVID's a possibility we have to consider. So our volumes are down. However, the COVID cases are coming in, and they're coming in with very unusual presentations. So we've got to keep our guard up for every patient that comes in.
And Dr. Saxinger, can I quickly ask you, what's the perspective from Edmonton?
We've done a really good job, I think, making sure that we have capacity for a potential surge in cases, but we really haven't seen a true surge yet. We're seeing increasing numbers, and we're seeing people coming into the intensive care unit, but nowhere near the kind of catastrophic features that you see in some of the hard-hit areas. And so it feels kind of eerily quiet at the moment, honestly.
Well, of course, we all hope that will continue. Thank you both very much this evening.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Ian.
And of course, we will keep asking your questions about COVID-19 each night on The National. You can send those questions to us, message us directly on Instagram at CBC The National, or send us an email at covid@cbc.ca. And next on The National, how other countries are coping with COVID. Critics say France wasted time despite the examples of Italy and Spain right next door. So what can we learn? But first, never before has keeping things clean been so important. So here's Andrew with his latest how-to guide about the safest way to use the laundromat.
Even in a pandemic, you've still got to do laundry, and maybe you're relying on a shared washer-dryer. So what's the risk? Well, two things you have to consider: the inside of the machine and the outside. As far as the inside goes, the nice thing about doing laundry is that literally every load you do, you're washing the inside of the machine. It's kind of like when you wash your hands. The soap dismantles the virus and washes it down the drain. In here, same thing.
And when it comes to being in the laundry room, which is a shared facility, practice your social distancing, keep your 2 meters distance. Make sure you are washing your hands either with soap and water before and after or with the alcohol disinfectant.
That's especially important since doing laundry involves touching so many things. So keep clean and carry on.
The COVID-19 pandemic may be global, but the impact of the response is local.
The good news is that we know what can work.
Every week, The National looks deep into the tactics tried, from the catastrophic stumbles.
We were the first, so we were totally unprepared.
To the gambles.
So we're still struggling to stay ahead of the COVID pandemic.
And the fragile successes. And tonight we look at France with more than 133,000 confirmed cases and more than 14,000 deaths. Its outbreak is one of the world's largest and most lethal. Terence McKenna has the lesson from France. The coronavirus can't be fought by confidence alone.
Emmanuel Macron opened his official visit to Italy on February 26 with a big kiss for Prime Minister Giuseppe Conte. Then a little nose wipe, and he was off for a 20-minute round of handshaking in the streets of Naples, even though the Italian coronavirus outbreak was already big news there. Then here he is in Paris on March 9th, on the day neighboring Italy was locked down. He is strolling with his wife on the Champs-Élysées, telling restaurant patrons he wanted to send a message of confidence to the French economy. In retrospect, not such a great idea. France is now among the worst performing countries at handling the outbreak.
So in France, the French president is like a king, like he's a Republican king.
Matthew Magnodet is one of France's top investigative journalists.
It's very clear that they didn't grasp how important this situation was. It's a failure of the whole system. It's a failure of the French executive power, and especially the president.
Occasionally, the president was challenged, like on this early visit to a French hospital. The doctor told him the public hospitals were effectively on fire, like the famous Notre Dame Cathedral, and needed his immediate attention.
So we basically lost 2 months or 3 months, 3 very important months, where we could have helped prevent this pandemic from getting bigger and bigger in France. So there's a lot of anger in France right now about what the government has done.
Well, it wasn't all the government's fault. When Macron finally went on TV on March 12th to announce he was closing schools and calling for social distancing because France was now at war with COVID-19, the very next day the public flooded into Parisian terraces and courtyards to enjoy the sunshine with their friends and relatives. They seemed to pay no attention to the possibility that France could share Italy's horrible fate.
Catherine Hill est épidémiologiste à Gustave Roussy, le premier.
Dr. Catherine Hill is a leading French epidemiologist.
There was no reason why it would not be the same everywhere else. People just hoped for the best, and they talked about the Italian scenario as if it was, Western movie made by Italians or something like exotic. It's ridiculous. The same causes tend to have the same consequences.
Sure enough, the consequences have arrived. There is a tidal wave of COVID-19 patients overwhelming the hospitals. Eric Maury is an intensive care doctor.
We estimate that we have in France around 5,000 of ICU beds. And actually there is more than 7,000 patients requiring ICU. So we have actually more than more patients than France can treat in ICU bed.
As the hospitals in Paris and eastern France were overwhelmed, there was a military operation to transport patients to less busy hospitals in other regions and in other countries.
So they have to send patients in the south of France by plane, by train, in the western part of France, and they sent also patients in Germany, in Switzerland, in Luxembourg, because it was overwhelmed.
The comparisons to other countries are astonishing. Neighboring Germany performed 5 times the per capita number of tests compared to France. Now France has 6 times the per capita number of German deaths from COVID-19, 15 times greater than Canada. France claims to have a low number of confirmed cases. Epidemiologists don't believe it.
My estimate is that you have to multiply the published figures by something like 50. So there's an enormous gap.
There was a scandal in France when it turned out that a much-discussed stockpile of masks and other protective equipment was far smaller than promised. So President Macron toured a mask production line and promised more were on the way. Intensive care doctors say they will refuse to work without proper equipment.
I will not say to my nurses and to my residents to see the patient if we have not the protection to take care of the patient. It's out of question.
Even as France is flying patients to other countries, the government is announcing plans to return to normal. Experts doubt that is possible without a massive increase in testing.
So half of the contaminations are caused by individuals who do not know they are infectious. So how can you, and there are millions of people in France who are positive right now. So how do you release the quarantine?
Like Canada, France has a shockingly high proportion of deaths in nursing homes. Apparently, President Macron did not see that coming early on when he joined the dinner table at a Paris seniors' residence and paid no attention to social distancing to protect the residents. To mark the Easter holiday, Paris's Catholic Archbishop mounted the stairs at the Sacré-Cœur Basilica to pronounce a blessing on the city. The residents are likely praying that the country's performance does not get even worse than its lamentable record so far. Terence McKenna, CBC News, Toronto.
We may be physically distancing these days, but more than ever, it seems people are reaching out to one another.
Offering these for free just seemed like a no-brainer.
Next, whether it's donating time, expertise, or money, there's plenty of positivity out there. But first, like mayors around the world, Lori Lightfoot has the same message for her city.
Please pay attention. Stay home, save lives.
But the Chicago mayor has embraced creative ways to get that message out. And it appears residents are listening because the mayor seems to be popping up everywhere, at closed down parks and the waterfront, on famous impressionist paintings, and in different neighborhoods. But this week she took her message one step further.
I rolled down the window and said, hey, you're too close. Separate yourself. Social distancing.
Perhaps the most direct way of communicating, and one this mayor says she won't be afraid to use again. However, we should note the mayor herself was criticized recently for going to a hair salon. Amazing grace. Renowned opera singer Andrea Bocelli's voice resonated through the empty streets of Milan today, bringing a message of hope on this Easter Sunday. And he wasn't the only one using music to comfort.
Then Jesus stood before me with his arms held open wide.
While others, like these firefighters in Winnipeg, went to new heights to reach one of their own. And then there are those who lift spirits just by doing ordinary things for those who need them, like babysitting for healthcare workers or shopping for vulnerable seniors. David Common has more on those who are doing good deeds.
I need to get today are 3 cucumbers, 1 whole raw chicken.
Jasmine Saleh is about to grab a week's worth of groceries, something she's doing twice a day.
It's through something called the Friendly Neighborhood Hotline.
That hotline connects volunteers like her with isolated low-income seniors.
And if I can get out just to support someone a little bit, it's something that I feel is really important to do, especially during this time.
The seniors still pay for the groceries, but many are high risk if they venture outside. So Jasmine hits a store every day for a different person, though she knows that increases the risk for her.
We're averaging about 175 calls right now a day.
Jen Recknagel takes the calls along with a team from Open Lab and the University Health Network.
I had a call from a 90-year-old couple who don't speak English, who hadn't eaten in 2 days and had no idea how to access food. And, we helped get them connected with Meals on Wheels. We brought them groceries. And so, that call really sticks in my mind.
There are similar efforts popping up, part of an online movement called caremongering, a made-in-Canada term. Nelson Sadler is a now sidelined second-year med student, one of 500 now signed up to assist 250 families of frontline workers, today babysitting the children of a pediatric cardiology fellow at Sick Kids Hospital.
The big focus right now is that we need our healthcare providers that are on the front line being able to focus on their jobs and focus on their patients.
The helpers are assigned to one family, limit their contacts when they're not with them, all to reduce any chance of transmission. for those they're helping, like Dr. Oshri Zaulan.
I really don't know what we would have done. It's really life-saving, and I really hope that someday I can return this favor to Nelson, because he's really saving us.
Meanwhile, Jasmine is about to make her latest drop.
Hi, Doreen. My name's Jasmine. I'm here for your grocery delivery.
Down comes Doreen, careful to avoid people.
I suffer from fibromyalgia, chronic fatigue, and this service is like a blessing. It is a blessing. So I really appreciate it. You know, they can get like what I need, toilet paper.
In normal times, cities can be anonymous, needs and vulnerabilities sometimes hidden. Now, help is ever more important. David Common, CBC News, Toronto.
And here's one more good turn. Since the pandemic began, barriers have been going up around the world at stores and other places, meant to protect clerks and customers alike from the spread of COVID. But not all stores can get those plexiglass screens, and that's where Rochelle LeBlanc comes in. She's donating her services to make sure they're protected as well.
This is such an amazing opportunity for innovation and creativity, and because we're going to really need the community to step up and fill in the gaps.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure. I'm majorly at the counter. He's tall. For him, it's a pleasure.
My name is Rochelle LeBlanc. I'm a designer and I work out of Parkdale, Toronto, Canada. We saw that a lot of the grocery stores were putting up plexiglass guards as an attempt to create a barrier between the public and the workers. You're not able to do the proper social distancing at the checkout, and we saw a need for that. We are building protective guards or screens for the smaller grocers and the convenience store corner shops. Them having the great idea to make this stuff available to the public, and me seeing a need for it in the community. So we started manufacturing small versions that could just be placed on the counter. When people see a barrier like that, they understand that there's a person there, and they need to be a little bit more mindful of their personal space in these spaces that don't allow for personal space. Offering these for free just seemed like a no-brainer. I was receiving the materials for free, and we were getting the donations for the plexi. We were throwing them together, and we have compiled a list of people who've asked for them, and we were essentially just driving there to drop them off. And it was really that simple. I can honestly say I probably benefited from this process more than anybody, in the sense that I did get to know my neighbors a little bit better, and I did, through this entire thing that can feel very overwhelming and depressing, I was part of the good side of it. The economic situation is going to be probably unstable, but I think that the more that we take care of the person next to us and across the street, the better off we're going to be. I think that's the one thing that we should be concentrating on the most.
Next, a 24-hour marathon, 60 kilometers long, inside a one-bedroom apartment. Take a walk with one Ontario man in his 500-square-foot place in our moment, which is next. 500 square feet is not a lot of space, and yet it was all Toronto's Daniel Emmon needed to do a 24-hour walkathon for charity. It all started with a challenge from 12 years ago. Daniel had told his friends he could walk for 24 hours straight, but he never got around to actually doing it until now. And this is tonight's moment.
Started reaching out to friends, family, and talking to people, and connected with the folks at the Fred Victor Center, and it built from there. And then all of a sudden I had all these groups of people who were kind of supporting me, and I set up a Zoom call that I could have everyone participate, so kind of talk me through it, keep me going throughout the time. And so I just kind of started walking laps around the apartment basically. And when we kind of crossed the finish line, he had all the people on Zoom cheering me on, think we had Instagram Live. People did kind of the victory lap and had people walk around sharing an Instagram Live with me as I walked the final few minutes, which was incredible. Just kind of collapsed at the end and laid down and just kind of have been trying to ice it. It was just such a really great way to connect with people. I know where everyone's kind of very far apart, but it really felt like everyone was walking with me.
Seems pointless, doesn't it? No, I'm just kidding. It's not pointless at all. First of all, what a feat, 24 hours of walking. He'd take, I think, a 2-minute break every hour to use the washroom or clear his head or whatever you do for those 2 minutes. He raised $4,000 for an organization through pledges that helps homeless people. And, you know, he had something to do while he's stuck in his apartment for 24 hours. That is The National for Sunday, April the 12th. Good night.